Welcome back. Good to be with you again. It seems like it's been a little while since I made a video. Last week I was busy with other things. I had a very busy week. Went on a bit of a motorcycle trip, which was always fun. I like to do that at least once a year, preferably a couple times a year. Had great weather, had a great time. It was really good. Had a few adventures. If anyone's interested about them, they're not like, I don't want to build it up too big, but they're kind of funny stories. That's not what I wanted to make a video about tonight. What I wanted to talk about was something that's happened on a regular basis in my game that I think is fantastic. And if you have the opportunity to do this, I would highly recommend doing it. I will occasionally get a text message from an existing player in the group. Our group is, I would say, 4 or 5 regulars on it, and it's a weekly based game. So it's every week at the same time. I find that having a game as much as possible the same time every week allows everyone to put it on the calendar. We tend not to have many cancellations. We can just kind of keep the thing going for the long term and plan those of us that are really passionate about it can plan our other weekly activities around that so that we can ensure that it happens. Back to what I was going to say. I get a text, and the text usually goes something like this. Hey, would it be okay if I brought a friend or a family member that happens to be visiting, someone that I've been talking about our game with this individual, and they're curious to see what it is that we're doing here. Would that be okay? First of all, that's great etiquette. If you're in a game and you want to bring someone by because you're having a blast, you're really enjoying the experience, it's good etiquette to check and make sure that the person that's hosting the game is still okay that you bring this person that they may or may not know. I haven't had to, just off the top of my head, I can't think of too many instances where, I mean, maybe over the course of 17 years or so, I think I may have had 1 or 2 where people showed up that I wasn't expecting. This is my house. It's considered poor manners to just show up if you're not invited. And I try to be quite gracious as a host. I'm provide beverage to the players, like they can come in. I always have cold drinks ready for them. Keep the fridge stocked so there's plenty to choose from. I get dice trays for all of my players so that they have something to roll in. I try to make sure that all the chairs that I can scrounge up from here and there and everywhere are comfortable chairs that you can sit in for 3 hours and not have a broken back. So very good table etiquette or just general etiquette to make sure it's okay. It usually is. I usually like it. So I get this text, and it says, my son's in town. I've been regaling him with all of our exploits from this game, and he wants to come and see what it's all about. Well, what a fantastic opportunity. This is someone that hasn't ever experienced a role-playing game, and how exciting. I just find it so exciting to be the group to introduce them to the hobby and hopefully have them experience it to its full extent. And it gives me, knowing that there's someone there that's going to be experiencing a role-playing game for the first time, gives me that impetus, that push to really be on my game, because I don't want them to come away thinking, oh man, I don't know how you do it. That's just terrible. It was like watching paint dry, or just, you don't want to have someone, their first taste of role-playing games, just awful experience. So it gives me a challenge, and I like the challenge. And I think it's really good because it reminds the rest of the table the essential characteristics of what we're going for. I've had a few instances where the introductions didn't go very well. Where it didn't succeed is where I had someone who was completely new to the hobby, and this is a long time ago, but my first attempts at this, I would launch into more of the mechanics of the game. I think that doesn't work as well in my experience. What worked well this last week when we had this new person to the hobby is to emphasize to that person what it is that we're doing. And that was a good reminder for the rest of the players too, to hear me say, look, we are simulating a world. The world's not real. It's got some fantastic elements. We'll just briefly touch on those. why this world is different from our world, but we're going to pretend that this world exists. We're going to pretend that we're in the world, we're simulating this world. And what that looks like for you is that when it's your turn in the game, you're going to tell us where you are in the world and what you're doing in the present tense. And I give a few examples of this, and my players are all, yeah, that's right, present tense, we're going to be doing that. Instead of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm thinking of this, I will do, no, you're just in the present. And then it also gives us a chance, or gives me a chance, we're playing Weird Frontiers, which is, it's not rules light. It's not it's not very crunchy. It's kind of, I would call it kind of mid-crunch. And it was good because I said, here's your character sheet, and we're just going to briefly go over it, but I don't want you to play the character sheet. I want you to play this character. Let's talk about the character. What is this character like? And try to get that. That's what you're simulating. You are this person in this simulated world for the next 3 hours. And you can see first it was a little overwhelming for him, I think, at the very first, but then he could see right away, oh, okay, I think I'm going to get it. It's also a chance for the rest of the players to step up, and the rest of the players step up in the sense that I am trying to show this new potential convert to RPGs that this is going to be different than the last time you sat down with friends and played a board game. This is going to be a different experience than that. And this is going to be a much more imaginative experience. You're going to have a chance to pretend like you haven't pretended since you were 6 years old. It's that level of imagination that we're looking for. And that's really good for the players to hear too, my existing players, the old hands, as it were, at the table, because it gives them that excitement to, like, you're right, this is not the same as when I was having fun playing Diablo 4 or Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever animal encounter RPG that's the current rave. This is something that's going to be on a different level than that. Those are fun too, but this is different. And I like to emphasize the differences, because then for the rest of the session, hopefully the players are also buying in on this. This is not the same. We're not doing Monopoly. Monopoly is great, but this is not the same as that. And then the other thing that the final thing I'll say about this, and how excited I get to introduce people to the hobby for the first time, or to our group for the first time. So this is going to give everyone a chance to have this refreshing experience, to see the hobby through someone else's eyes for the first time. And for those of us that got hooked many, many years ago, that can't help but be contagious. To have someone come in and say, this is wild. I can't believe that this exists. And the imagination side, and how I can experience this, and not just the personal experience of it, but it's a group experience too, which adds a whole other layer of enjoyment and complexities and interactions. I'm very pleased to report that this person, that this guest at our game last night, it's been a couple nights. I got busy last night too, so back earlier this week, we'll say. He got it. He got it right away, and he showed everyone afterwards. We were discussing what happened in the session and all of the exciting things, that how everyone was complimenting him. He's like, you've never played a role-playing game before? No, but he understood the key concepts, the basics of it. And then he understood enough of the core game mechanic, which was a reminder to the rest of the group that this doesn't have to be complicated. Even in games where there's a significant amount of rules, or in this case, lots of charts to look up, I've talked about that and how that can be a bit of a challenge in terms of pacing of the game. But notwithstanding all of that, it can be accessible. It's not, those of us that, I can't speak for others, but for me, having really focused in more on the role play side of things, that I think makes the game more accessible. I think it makes the hobby more accessible, not less accessible. It's harder to convince people that this isn't just, oh, I saw some cartoon once that was talking about it. It was like, instead of D&D, it was like Math Quest or something like that, where it was all just about the math side of things. And I don't mind the math side of things. Please don't take that out of context. But if you're introducing someone to the hobby, it's so much better to say, wouldn't you love to play pretend? Wouldn't you love to simulate a world that has things like magic, wouldn't you love to be in a Western of your own creation? And I think that's way more accessible to new people. If you get a chance, like I do, and I always take it as a great honor, to have a player say, hey, can I bring someone along? Even if it's a bit of a logistical challenge, because you've got to change up table or maybe stock the fridge with some more drinks, whatever it may be, it's worth it. It's worth it for the excitement that can bring, to see something again, something that becomes familiar over time. And sometimes that familiarity can wear us down a little bit, but when you see someone see it, like you see the excitement in their face or in their expression and how they're really getting into it. And by the end of the session, it's like they've been doing this for years, and in some cases better than those of us that have developed bad habits. Great. Introducing people to the hobby is reinvigorating. It's a great experience and a great honor. And so I'm not sure how many of my viewers, of which I'm very grateful and thankful, over 70 of you. It's just amazing. I would imagine a fair number of you are running games. It's great. Even if you know you don't have a seat for that person and they're just there to audit the game, you're not joining it long term, you're just seeing what the experience is. It's fantastic. That's my thoughts. I would love to hear yours. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. I always enjoy reading those. Until next time, bye.